Hello. How are you feeling tonight? I feel very full. I played D&D tonight, and we had a lot of pizza. I had a lot of pizza. I can't speak for everyone else, but I ate a lot of pizza. Anyway, today there was some sad news. It seems that Mad Magazine is coming to an end. Yes, I know you probably thought Mad Magazine stopped already, but no, they were still going. I think they had switched to a bi-monthly, not said bi-monthly every other month. That one, bi-monthly. Now, obviously, I don't live in America. I don't really read magazines anymore, so I can't say much about the current state of Mad Magazine. I certainly did nothing to promote it or support it, so I'm not surprised it's going away. But I am a little bit sad because for a long time, I'm going to say 10 years, give or take, I read a lot of Mad Magazine. Mad Magazine was just like, it was my catch-all pop culture, not source, but kind of like roundup. Like every month, I didn't always buy them, but I certainly read them a lot at the grocery store. And yes, it used to be a thing where you'd go to the supermarket, and the supermarket would just have a bunch of magazines sitting there. And if my mom was shopping, I would have enough time to flip through Mad Magazine and just get the gist of things. Because every month, Mad Magazine would have parodies of big movies or big TV shows. And for me as a kid, this is me as a kid in the 80s, it wasn't easy to keep abreast of what was happening. I mean, yes, there were less things. Like, there was only really 3 and eventually 4 TV networks of note. But it's like, I can't watch everything on TV. Some stuff is definitely I'm not allowed to watch. And with movies, that's doubly so. Like, if there was a popular movie, but it was rated R, I couldn't see it. I had no way of seeing it. And I had no way of knowing what it was about either. I couldn't look things up. But I could read Mad Magazine every month, and I'd figure out stuff, I mean, like Rambo, okay? The only reason I know who Rambo ever was, or ever had any idea, was via parody, Like, Mad Magazine summarized, and it made fun, of course, it made fun of the movies, but also summarized the entire movie, so, like, me as a reader, like, oh, that's what that movie's about. Rambo goes back to Vietnam, and he fights people, then he escapes. Like, they fill it with jokes, but it's still the same plot. And Aliens, another one. Aliens was a huge movie in the 80s, but I was like 9 when Aliens came out, so I was not going to see Aliens. And I had never seen Alien either, or Terminator. So it's like all these movies, my first experience with all of them was through parody and satire. And this, the jokes were okay. I don't, honestly, at this time in my life, I don't remember the jokes that fondly. I'm sure they were funny to me as a kid. But the lasting impact was just like, here was this little magazine, and they make fun of everything, but it's also like this nice little summary of what's going on. It was informative, honestly. It was an informative magazine. And there were bits in between that, of course, were just funny. I mean, I know I loved Spy vs. Spy, but not Spy versus Spy versus Spy, which was, because Spy versus Spy is black versus white. When there's 3 spies, it was black versus white versus gray, and the gray was a lady, and she won every time, which made it stupid, because the whole point of Spy versus Spy is you don't really know what's going to happen. One side wins, or the other side wins, or sometimes it'd be a draw. But if there were 3 of them, then the gray spy always won, which made it stupid. What else? The fold-in was always interesting. I don't think, most of the time I didn't get the joke because it was like aimed at adults in the 80s, and like, I wouldn't know who Lee Iacocca was, but they like made jokes about him or whatever, or government bailouts, and I was 7, I didn't know what they were talking about. I also remember the weirdest one, I think, to me was the it was called The Light Side or The Lighter Side by Dave Berg, and it was just these little like snapshot, like 3 or 4 panel comics, and they were kind of like sitcom-y. Like, they were very much like set up, punchline, And to me, they did not make any sense in the world. They keep talking about playing doctor, like, oh, they're downstairs playing doctor, and people would be shocked. And I was like, what does that even mean, playing doctor? Like, some of the stuff just went way over my head. That's the thing, Mad Magazine also, from a language standpoint, it taught me new words that I would not have learned otherwise. But it also taught me phrases that didn't make any sense. And if I repeated them out of context, they were kind of gross. And the one I remember the most is that at some point in Mad Magazine, they used the phrase, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Which, as an adult, I obviously they're talking about some kind of sex thing. But to me as a kid, I was like, what does that mean? It rhymes. It sounds funny. And I just said it a lot to myself until someone's like, you shouldn't say that. But I didn't know. Anyway, Mad Magazine. It's going away. I feel sad about that. But I hadn't read it in 20 years, so it's not a tragedy. I just feel a little bit bad. Anyway, I also feel very tired and I'm very thirsty because I was up late. So, good night, everybody. I love you.